Hey there, fellas. Check this out. Right here I've got this lovely airbag. Actually, 4 of them. Also, I've got a car, some pipes, valves, and some other stuff. And in this video, I suggest we figure out what an air suspension is, how stiffness is adjusted, how the thing behaves. We're also going to learn what a pneumatic transformer is, what you would and wouldn't need it for. And of course, we want to try and see if we can make this car jump. Alright, let's do this. We'll be piecing the system out of polypropylene plumbing hardware, the cheapest components available. We've got 2 types of valves made of steel and of plastic. Also, we've got this will constitute the plumbing. And on the airbags themselves, you'll see a tiny orifice, which is not optimal if we want the air to flow freely. Now, we would like for the air to flow freely into and out of the airbag, and so we will be removing this top plate so that we can weld on a big bore fitting, one that will give us plenty of airflow. Again, so that the air can freely find its way in and then exit the airbag. Now, as we all know, air does easily compress. Even if things are well sealed, there will still be a bit of play. But we also want to set up a pneumatic compressor to ensure better compression of large volumes of air, as well as better pressure relief. The reason we need it is to make the airbag more compliant, because compressing the volume of air contained by the airbag, well, when you apply a small amount of force, it barely compresses. But if the air flows into that transformer, which will also have plenty of volume, well, then airbag travel and compliance should increase quite a bit. Well, I think so anyway, but we'll find out once we start testing. Right, let's carry on. Now, in order to properly install these airbags, well, honestly, there's a lot that's getting in the way. To bring the car down as low as we can, we need to remove the bump stop. We've done that. Also, the mount contains a small spacer. I'm saying that the reinforcement where the spring is seated also needs to be removed, together with the sway bar brackets and all of that, so that the only thing we are left with are the suspension arms. We want the airbag to nicely fit, for it to not get damaged, and for the suspension arms to freely move up and down, of course. Okay, let's cut everything we don't need out of here and install the airbags. Now let me show you what we're doing back here. The rear suspension layout is very primitive, with a live axle. We've got the lower cup for the spring, also one that sits up top. We have cut out the bump stop, and now there is nothing preventing us from handily installing those airbags. So let's do just that and we'll be golden. Also, I should say that we're considering removing the shock absorbers, so that they don't get in the way and for us to assess how the suspension is going to work just on the airbags. Alright, well, let's get back to work. We've commenced the airbag installation process. We'll be fitting them without any substantial modifications, though we will be partially cutting out the cup. They'll sit where the springs would have been. Check out what we've got here. The airbags are a great fit. The air suspension is in. We didn't cut out anything we didn't need to. We're looking good, and the airbag looks like it belongs there. You will recall me mentioning that we increased the diameter of the hole through which the air flows, through which it's going to be pumped into and exit the airbag. But that's pretty much the only thing we've changed. Now we just need to sort the plumbing and get the airbags connected to the reservoir. It's all fairly straightforward, so let's carry on. Now let's talk the reservoir. Previously, we discussed that the more volume of air, the more it can be compressed, and so we need a big reservoir. And since this is a channel about cars, this is what we've chosen for the purpose. We'll base it on a truck tire, which has got plenty of volume. It should be more than enough, I reckon. Yeah, we've got this sort of enormous reservoir. This is a bit out there, but that's just how we roll. Okay, let's get this installed. I'm waiting for them to tell me what's the largest available diameter of pipe, for us to look into some adapters and maybe fit some metal valves. Because the biggest valve is for the 32mm, maybe we can make do with the 25? We want airflow to be quick, because at some point, we open this valve, we open all of the valves and the reservoir, it won't be under much pressure, and the suspension will do this sort of dance. Here's where we're at with this. We've plumbed the system. That's the front left airbag, front right airbag. Here we have the rear left and rear right ones, and they all have separate valves. They're all tied to this, I guess you can call it a rail, which is going to be distributing the pressure. And it in turn is connected to our enormous reservoir, to that tire of the type used on trucks. Here we have another valve. It opens and pressure is sent through the rail and distributed among the airbags. And this valve is for pressure relief. It allows for rapid depressurization of all of the airbags. Down here we have an oxygen bottle, the contents of which are under high pressure, and the purpose it serves, well, we want to have the ability to boost the pressure without activating the air compressor. You open a separate valve and increase the air pressure. Pump air into that reservoir. It's all fairly simple, and now I say we proceed to the testing phase. Starting with the fronts, I think. Let me open this up. Excellent. Just one of the fronts, and let's see. Oh, it's gone up, holy cow. And the other side has gone up, amazing. Now the rear. The rubber crunching. Holy cow. This is cool. That was one at a time. Let me bring it down. Right, close this off. Now open. Which one is the left? This one? Is that left? Yes, it is. That's one airbag. Now the other left. Holy! Why so much travel? You know what I want to try? Will I be ejected from the car? Don't want to hurt myself. But let's see. Holy cow. It is so eager to jack itself up. But now let's try all four. That was me taking it easy. Here we go. And it goes down violently. And up. This is so cool. That's what you get when the pipes Fittings and everything else plumbing related is of large diameter. Because the air is free to move around, to inflate the airbags and to release the pressure. Look at how fast it comes up, that is amazing. Without load it jumps up. It can't resist the pressure. Yeah, but with some load it's nice and supple. Check this out, guys. We've tried the system. It works, the car hopped around. We went for a drive over some bumps with and without load. The suspension behaved pretty well. And it was time to try this out on the road. We have just the right road for that, but something went not according to plan. Take a look at this. Yes, the truck tire couldn't handle the pressure. Wasn't even too much pressure, just 7 kilos. It didn't even burst, it just unseated itself. We have put a lot of air into such tires, and they have slipped off before, but here it wasn't even much pressure, I mean. The rim must have been warped, but the tire let go. It slipped off and destroyed the car. Now, air suspensions are a cool thing and all of that, but playing around with high pressure could result in something like this happening. And so I highly recommend you avoid these sorts of experiments in uncontrolled settings and without proper training. I mean, you're better off just avoiding them altogether, instead watching them on TV or tablet, or even on your smartphone. But we showed you everything that we were able to be continued, but that's it for this video. Catch you guys later.